Hi and welcome to the Azam Sharp YouTube channel. I'm your host Muhammad Azam. Today I'd like to talk about securing the tab bar items. All right, so let's actually run the app so that you can understand the scenario. So here it is. It's a very simple app. It's a tab bar app. It has two tabs, a home tab over here and a secure tab over here. Okay, now there are a lot of applications where the home tab is, of course, kind of like the home screen, which is available to all the users. And let's just say that when they click or when they select the secure tab, it should ask them for their login. All right. So you need to implement that, but you need to implement it in a way that it can be easily extended to different tabs. Well, I can add more tabs over here. So one way to do this, the bad way, is to use the selected index of the tab bar controller. The problem with that, if you rearrange the tab bar items that you're doing over here, it's not going to work. Then you have to rearrange your code again because now the index has changed. So we are going to see that how we can make sure that the solution that we are coming up with is nice and it's also protected for future changes. Okay, so the first thing is looking at the storyboard. We have a tab bar controller right over here. It has two tab items, which are pretty much the default items if you drag a tab bar controller from the toolbox from over here. And then we have a login screen or a login view over here. It is tied up to a login view controller, which is right over here. I'm just going to copy this into the storyboard. All right. So now I have set up the storyboard ID of this particular screen as the login view controller. All right. Now, in our scenario, the home screen doesn't require a login, but the secure tab does require a login. So we need to do something about that. So maybe we'll start with creating a protocol or that can be decorated on tab bar items or the controllers that are controlling these tab bar items, saying that, okay, this particular tab bar item requires a login. So this one, the home controller or the home tab bar, the home screen is controlled by home view controller. And if I click on the purple one over here, which is the secure tab bar, it is controlled by secure view controller. All right. So let's go and add a extension. So I'm going to say Swift file, and I'm just going to say extensions. You can say a different name over here, but I'm just going to declare a protocol extension right over here also. All right. So I'm going to import UI kit because we are dealing with a UI view controller. Let's go ahead and write a protocol. This will be a login handler. All right. And it can be decorated on classes. It only has one function that it will have, which is a validate, and it can return a Boolean value. All right. Now, the validate function in my case is same whether you are clicking on the secure or some other tab. I'm just going to check that if a value exists in the NS user defaults. So let's go ahead and do that. So extension login handler. So that's why I'm extending the login handler instead of writing the validate function again and again in the implementation of the view controllers. So login controller where self, it can only be decorated, it can only be applied to the UI view controller. And now I can go ahead and implement the validate function. So validate is going to return me the Boolean value. And now I can basically say that if this is, if the username is present in NS user defaults or not. So this is basically the very simple code for that. We are just checking for the key username. If the key does not exist, then that means the user is not validated. So let's go ahead and build that. All right, so that's good. Now we have to control whenever, we have to fire this whenever the person selects the tab bar item. All right, so we need to add another view controller. So let's go ahead and add another view controller. which will be for the TabBar controller, our custom TabBar controller. So I would say this is a, what do you want to call it? My TabBar controller. All right. Definitely you should have a much better name than that. Import UI kit, class my TabBar controller, which is UI TabBar controller, and then viewDidLoad, load, and then I'm just going to call super.viewDidLoad. load. Okay. Now my TabBar controller is of type TabBar controller. In order to use this on our storyboard, I have to jump back, select the TabBar controller, and set the class to my TabBar controller. There we go. So now we will be using the my TabBar controller class. Okay. But we also need to find out that that if it's selecting. So the great thing about extension is that I can go ahead and extend the my TabBar controller, and also not only to extend the my TabBar controller, but I can also say that become the delegate of itself, which is kind of weird, but you can do that. All right. And now since I am a delegate, my TabBar controller is a delegate of itself, I can simply implement the should select method. A should select method is actually should select function. The delegate function is fired whenever you select the TabBar item. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say controller equals to view controller as login handler. So if the cast is successful to login handler, then that means that that particular TabBar item requires a login. If it doesn't, then it doesn't require any login, and we're just going to return true. And then we can say if is valid controller dot validate. All right. And then we can have some other code to display. So if it is not valid, right? So this is just simply validating that if the username is present in the user defaults or not. If it is not present, then we have to display the login view controller. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say login view controller equals to self.storyboard, and that's why we gave the storyboard ID. Instantiate with the ID login view controller as login view controller, else we have to throw an error at this point if it's not found. Login view controller not found. And then finally we can present the login view controller. All right, here we go, which is login view controller true and nil. And then finally return is valid. Okay. I think we are set up. Everything should be set up. The only thing we need to do is to implement or decorate the protocol on the controllers that we need to be secured. So home view controller does not need to be secured. So that's why I'm not using the login handler protocol. But the secure view controller does need to be secured. So I'm just going to say login handler. And I don't really have to implement the validate function of the login handler because I have already implemented it in the extension, the protocol extension. That's a really great thing about protocol extension, that you can have a default implementation. So let's go ahead and remove all of that junk. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead and run it. So now if I select the secure tab, I should see the login view popping up. So secure tab, okay, so I don't see that popping up right now. So something is definitely going wrong. So let's go ahead and debug that. Login view controller is good. Home view controller looks good. Secure view controller looks pretty good. TabBar controller, so something definitely going on with TabBar? Of course, the TabBar controller is a delegate. It does implement the should select, but the app delegate, we have to set it up over here also so that it knows that it is itself the delegate. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to say over here, let root view controller, which is our TabBar controller, self.window dot root view controller as my tab controller, and then we can say root view controller dot delegate equals to self dot root. Oh, so I would say root view controller. Okay, let's go ahead and run it now. Basically, over here we are just saying that the TabBar, the my TabBar view controller, is a delegate of itself. So here we go, and now hopefully it will close. So see, if I click on, or if I select the secure, it automatically pops up the login screen. This is a login screen. I'm going to close it, and you will see that it's not even selected. Home gets selected because we never selected the secure tab item. And that's a great thing. Now, if I have another item over here, I can simply attach. So let's go ahead and do that. But you get the picture, right? I mean, if I have another view controller, so UI view controller, and I drag it over here, and then I drag from over here to over here, and view controller. So now I have another item. Of course, I have to set up some class for this. So let's go ahead and create a class. And I'm just going to say another view controller. Here we go. Another view controller. The only thing I need to do for this to be secure is to decorate it with the login handler protocol. And of course, we have to find out, we have to say that this guy is actually using the another view controller. And let's go over here. Secure item, I could say another secure item. All right, let's go ahead and run it. And that's all you need to do to secure another item of the TabBar. This is super easy. You don't have to calculate which index I press. So secure item, here we go. Another secure item, there we go. See how easy it is? And the great thing is that it does not even select the TabBar. If you're going to click on it, it just automatically fires those validate method, and it's basically just works. Now, let me actually see if I can. Yeah, so I do have all the code. If you go to azamsharp.com, and yeah, go ahead and download my app also while you're there, camouflage messaging. But here we go, secure TabBar item using protocol extension in Swift. This is all the code that you actually need. And here we did the same exact example. All right. So hope you like this video. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching.